Bison Media Zone on WDAY Extra.
And welcome everybody to the Bison Media Zone. Back at our studio, Jeff Kolpack joins me. It's great to see you. I almost feel like I have to shake your hand. It's been
good to
so long,
see you.
huh?
It's like the Masters, isn't
absolutely.
it? Yeah, the most uncomfortable moment in sports.
Well, and we got a busy, newsy day, which is always my favorite when we have the BMZ hitting on a Wednesday. Right before you came on, Jeff, the Bison men's basketball team has added a local addition to the roster. West Fargo native Jacksen Moni announced that he's transferring to NSIC to spend his final season of eligibility. 6'10", first team all NSIC for Saul Phillips at Northern State this past season. 21 points, 8 rebounds a game. He can shoot the three as well, which is an added bonus at 6'10". This was a necessary addition, I think, to give some length down low to add with Noah Federson.
And some length out front. You know, college basketball, Dom, is just, you got to shoot the three. I mean, Andrew Morgan developed that into his game this year, the ability to shoot the three. When you're a 6'10" guy and the ability to go down low and hit the three, and Noah Federson really showed that ability too, that makes you just so much tougher to guard. Now, it's a good get.
Yep.
Now, will it be a huge get? We'll see. Now he transforms to the Summit League and Division I level. I mean, NSC is a very good league, and they have really good players who, a lot of them probably can play Division I or some. We'll see now if Jacksen can develop his game to that level.
So that's the second edition, paired with Brennan Watkins, who transferred last week from VMI. I was just going through it. They have 3 incoming freshmen paired with these two. I think there's probably another 1 or 2. I don't think Dave's done just yet with the 5 guys that they lost, most notably Morgan, who transferred to Nebraska. But this is different, Jeff. Dave normally has gone the route of the JUCO or Division, that route. He's gotten 2 now, a Division I and a Division II player to add onto his roster.
Well, I think you had to. I mean, it's the way of the world now with the transfer portal, and you have so many guys out there. And this guy was just a natural to get when talking about Jacksen Moni. You know, it sounds strange, and this is really, I don't know how to describe this, but NDSU is one of the top 3-point shooting teams in the country last year, okay? And I felt like they needed to add a couple shooters. Does that make any sense?
No, it's accurate of how that team, especially at the end, it didn't feel like anybody could take over a game and shoot the ball. It just felt that way, especially the last 5 or 6 games of last season.
Well, and I look at a guy like, you remember Vinny Shahid, who could hit the three on the dime at any time. And it was just a gut feeling that at times when they needed somebody to really shoot the rock and get hot, they still had a great percentage for a Division I basketball team, but I just never sensed that there was that one guy that could just take over a game and can like 4 in a row and just make life miserable on an opponent.
Now, there's another name to keep an eye on, and I've been tweeting about it for the last couple days. Patrick Bath is another name to watch. 6'9" kid that played his freshman year at Shanley. He transferred to Totino Grace. He grew up in Fargo. He spent this past year at Drake. He entered the portal. He's got, a ton of schools have reached out, but Holy Cross, Portland, Idaho, William and Mary, North Dakota State is obviously one of them. Keep an eye on that name. There's a local connection there, Jeff, if he wants to maybe come back here.
The operative word is, you said 6'9".
6'9".
Well, think of the length this team could probably put together now if they can land him somehow with Moni 6'10", Federson 6'10". You got some, and I like Stefanowicz coming in as a guard, as a playmaking guard. So the pieces could potentially be there, and if Dave can land Bath, Dave Richmond can land this guy, I would say that's a pretty successful
season. That's a good offseason, right? It's such a, we're talking about.
Did you trade up or not? Did you trade up or not?
And that's the question mark here with the losses that they have, and knowing Jakari White is coming back, a key piece that I think Damari Wheeler-Thomas is back also, to Javis Miller.
He's 6'4".
You hope that he has a bounce-back season in his junior year, that you've got some pieces there to work with, that you add in some guys, and that's it. It really is. It's a crapshoot in Summer League basketball now. It is folly to try and predict anything before we start this thing.
Well, and that's the Summer League right now.
Yeah.
Okay, who can retool the fastest? After everybody lost their top guys. South Dakota State lost everybody, and they've gotten a couple Division I transfers that have been pretty, looks like they're pretty solid.
Washington State being
Omaha loses their best guy. Denver graduated their best guy. And you look up and down, the top players, they're out of here. And again, we're going to see this every year.
Cycle of what it's going to be. So much more on Jacksen. We'll have more on Inforum.com and tonight on our news at 6-10. The big story that Kolpack broke this morning, the news that came out about 9 o'clock on a Bison future Hall of Famer, there's no doubt about that, is that Oxbow's Amy Olsen is announcing her retirement from the LPGA Tour after 10 years, 2 runner-up finishes in major championships. But I think what's forgotten is the unreal collegiate career she had playing for the Bison.
Oh, I haven't forgotten it because I've written about it plenty. But yeah, setting the NCAA record for individual titles with 20.
Man.
Won her first 3 tournaments as a freshman, and then won her last 3 as a senior before the regional. And in between was just a dominant player. She came on when NDSU was just getting going in Division I. Yep. And she put that program right on the board right away. And she put that program on her back. I think she helped recruiting. Matt Johnson will tell you that she helped recruiting. And to this day, I think she's helped recruiting, that you can say, okay, look, we had a player here from right down the line. You don't have to be from Arizona to make a difference and come into this program and make a difference in the LPGA level. So it's hard to believe. I don't know how to put her career into words, because I remember even the junior all-city days.
There's chapters of it. There's the phenomenal junior career that happened here. And to your point, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I remember the FM All-City of her, and then her playing Tom Hoagie at the Pine to Palm.
Lost in the semis.
In Detroit Lakes. I remember that. To then her NDSU career, where it became, she was just going to be this thing, and then obviously the professional career after that.
Yeah, she won the Junior All-City by 27 shots one year. It's probably didn't play okay to do that.
I'll never forget, you mentioned the thing with Hoagie. You had people coming from everywhere to Detroit Lakes to watch her, which was traditionally a man's tournament. She made a run to the semifinals to push, which eventually their careers ended up being linked forever.
Right. She became the first female to qualify for the championship flight of the Pine to Palm. And for golf fans, if you know anything about the Pine to Palm, this is the tournament in the upper Midwest. And for her, she won the Birchmont, the women's division of the Birchmont earlier. And for her to qualify and go toe-to-toe with all these guys. Now, Detroit Country Club's, it's more doable if because it's a shorter course,
track,
but she can hit it as good as anybody, and that was obvious. I think that match with Hoagie will just forever go down as one of those, great versus great.
I was there for it. That's like people will, I think, remember that. It was at 9 a.m. on a Sunday morning. It was rain. I remember I was there, and people were lining the club out. It was unbelievable on that. And there's 2 other moments to me. The 2020 U.S. Open will be indelible for numerous reasons. Obviously, with her father-in-law passing away right before the final round, but how she composed herself, nearly won the thing, finishing in second place that day.
Yeah, I think the woman that won it really reached down deep and had like 3 birdies in her last 4 holes, or Amy would have won it. I look at her career and I look at the Pebble Beach. She got me to Pebble Beach.
I know
Tom.
she did. Yes.
So last year it was, and I remember following her that 3 rounds, the practice and the 2 rounds, and there was a certain, and I think she said it on your show this morning, when she finished her 18th hole on Friday, knowing she wasn't going to make the cut, gave it a run. She was in contention until the final 9 holes, gave it a run. It just sort of, there's a sense of, man, I think this could be it. And which is why we as Foreign Communications, I thought it was important that we go out there and cover this tournament, because that very well, and we thought it very well, it could have been her last. And it turns out, and she could still qualify.
Yes.
She could still give it a run, but as a competitive LPGA Tour player, going through the rigors of practicing, this was it for her.
Salute to her. Just whenever the and then granted they got a backlog of Division I athletes, they got to start getting in to the Athletic Hall of Fame, but she should be an early phone call for that.
The second LPGA player from this area joining Beverly Hansen, who's in the World Golf Hall of Fame.
Just unbelievable. One other bit of Bison who's been a newsy week. Late Monday was word came down, Jeffrey, one thing we expected, that the Bison football season opener for 2024 has been moved up a couple days against Colorado. Will be on Thursday, August the 29th, against Deion Sanders. Now, 98% of this is on Deion, but I have been told ESPN still covets the Bison, that this is a sought-after non-conference game to start the year.
Well, I think what ESPN, what they're saying is it's not Charleston Southern.
Correct.
It's not Hampton. It's not Campbell University.
Western Illinois. I'll throw our Leathernecks in there. Yeah.
So it's a team that could probably legitimately maybe hang in there for a while against, and obviously historically has done very well against the FBS. we'll see if they can hang in against these athletes. Of course, we don't know who's going to be on the field right now for CU. I mean, there's a lot of time to go before their starting lineup. They might have a guy come in a week before. Oh, here's an offensive lineman.
They have right now no scholarship running backs on the roster. They have their spring game
Ohio State guy's going to transfer.
Yes, he's going to come in there, but that's what Deion's MO. And to what McFeely was talking about yesterday, the star power that could be on the sidelines for this game, and frankly, this could be, you were at the Duke NDSU basketball game, this could be the most visible, most viewed NDSU sporting event ever. I really believe that.
Well, that was Mike's articles, 10 million, possibly 10 million viewers.
I really believe that.
That's a good number. You're a TV nerd. I mean,
that's crazy.
That's crazy
That's
number.
a crazy amount
Do
of
you
people.
think they'll get that?
If it's at 7 o'clock on a Thursday night
and nothing else going on?
I mean, the other games that are out there that day aren't that great.
And if the Bison make a game of it.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
if they hang in there at halftime,
that was my next thing.
If it's like 14-13 at halftime or something like that, then you're going to maybe, you'll gradually get more people.
I would say, if that game is
rapidly
interesting,
get more
when
people.
you get to the third or the fourth quarter, there will be casual viewers say, hey, wait a minute, Deion's team is getting pushed by who? Yeah, I think, and add a part of this, and you always talk about it, and I know you will when we get closer to it. The game after it is Nebraska.
Right.
And Deion has made a push to move this ahead to have more time to get for the Huskers after the Bison game. Are they already overlooking NDSU?
And NDSU has won 9 FBS games, right?
4, yep.
I guarantee in all 9, Dom, that the opponent has looked at North Dakota State and go, okay, they're from somewhere up there. There's maybe by Canada. I've seen this in my geography lesson that they're somewhere around there. Of course they overlook them. These guys are recruited to beat LSU. They're recruited to beat Texas Tech or Texas, whatever. They're not recruited to face North Dakota State. And that's the challenge, I think, that Deion Sanders and his staff. I'm not doing a Coach Prime. I'm not doing that.
No.
Deion Sanders.
Coach Sanders,
His challenge is to convince his guys that these guys, they can come up and beat FBS teams.
Everybody remember, we got to go to break. After the Arizona game, Jed Fish had a rather visceral reaction.
Yeah. What was that about? I still don't understand.
Because I think the talk was the Bison were going to win the football game.
They should have won that game.
They should have won, and he made it known that that got to him. And that's not
third and one. Get the ball to Hunter Lipke. Get the ball to Hunter Lipke.
But that's not how Deion's going to react in this game when it comes up. But August 29th, again, we'll find out probably about a month what time the kickoff is and what channel it's going to be on. We come back, we'll talk some spring sports and the NFL draft on tap. Can the Bison have an offensive lineman drafted for the 4th year running? Bison Media Zone, back right after this. Back here on the Bison Media Zone, the NFL draft is tomorrow. It's become old hat. The North Dakota State has had a player selected. Could this guy be next up? Jalen Sundell is the likely top NDSU draft prospect. We've heard. I visited with Jalen, Jeff, on Saturday. He's hearing somewhere late potentially on Saturday, either a late draft pick or a preferred free agent. All-American last year at left tackle. Likely he's going to play center at the next level, which is ironic considering he never played center prior to getting to NDSU.
Yeah, but he was a great athlete in high school, and great athletes can adjust to a lot of positions, and obviously he did. He was a player of the year in Missouri in his class.
As an offensive lineman, he was Mr. Football.
Mr. Football.
Yeah, it doesn't happen.
No, it doesn't. And I like the way he's attacked his off season. At his pro day, I just thought he had a maturity about him and a real reality and a sense of what he needed to do. And I think that helps that Cody Mauck has laid the groundwork, and Dylan Radence and Billy Turner and all these guys. Billy Turner was at his pro day.
Yep.
And so I like the fact that he's got a sense of reality. I like his chances.
Visiting with him, and also Cordell Volson was there as well. I mean, they said the NFL told Sundell that the track record is there. That's why the NFL is into it. The Giants offensive line coach was at Pro Day here last month, that there is a track record. You see from Dylan Turner, Haig. Obviously, you look now, Radens, Volson, Mauck. that
You know,
it's there.
I feel like I need to carry that list with me every time I'm around you. Let's say, starting with this guy, this guy, this guy, because I feel like I'm going to omit somebody. Now there's been so many.
And we'll find out. It's not like the last couple years where the Bison had a second-round pick, Christian Watson 2 years ago, Cody last year. It's not going to be the case. South Dakota State may have that with their 2 monster offensive linemen that get called early.
Yeah, they may have 3, 4 guys that get called. And
Isaiah Davis is going to have his name called
and it goes
as well.
to show you how strong that team was last fall.
Miles Harden is another one from South Dakota. The Valley's still going to get well represented, probably not as early, but certainly on Saturday with the NFL draft. Real quick before we go, the spring sports season rolling on. Tyler Oaks Bison baseball team is there, and Summer League baseball is so odd this year. We're going to see the standings in a second. The Bison won last night over Mayville State. That goes back to what they did this past weekend with Garrett Hill had a couple of walk-offs. Kid from Williston in beating Oral Roberts. Never before had the Bison won the season series from the Golden Eagles. They did that this past weekend.
Well, a few teams are going to win in the season series on who is in last place. It's just bizarre.
It's Oral Roberts of all teams in the Summit League standings. As you look here, with 3 weeks to go in the regular season, St. Thomas has a half-game lead on NDSU. It's important to remember those 2 teams didn't play earlier this year because of field conditions. That series got wiped out. The Bison host Omaha, who's right behind them. The Jacks then, Northern Colorado, and Oral Roberts. Here's the crazy scenario. The top 4 make the conference tournament, which is in Tulsa, and Oral Roberts may not even be in it. I can't even say that out loud.
Well, haven't we said forever we need to get rid of this format?
I'm not
the
thrilled
previous
with it.
year's regular season champ hosts the following year tournament. I don't know if volleyball still does that.
They do. Everybody does it.
Everybody. I just don't like it. It just everybody going. If they don't make it, Oral Roberts.
I know it.
What a boring. I mean, that's just not right.
I'll say this for NDSU, for Tyler Oaks' team, he's without his 2 top starting pitchers here. Parker Pitts had Tommy John surgery, so he's done for the season. They hope Nolan Johnson comes back. The fact he's doing this without his 2 studs and they're in that contention says a lot about the depth and the kind of recruiting he's had on this team.
Well, recruiting. And I think he's getting the top players around the Midwest that don't go to top majors, and that's what you have to do. That's what men's golf has done. They got these really good players out of the cities and Moorhead and those guys that maybe didn't get the offer at a Big 12. And to get those guys that have grown up in these conditions and know that it's okay to travel a lot and it's okay to play in 38-degree weather and 40-degree weather, which I do not miss watching my kid playing in 40-degree weather. I'll tell you that. But that's you get tough kids, and that's what they have.
Let me ask you before we go, because you covered the men's golf team, and the Summit Men's Championship is this coming weekend. Bison have a realistic shot to do this again?
Absolutely. They're so balanced, and the toughest thing for Steve Kennedy is which 5 is he going to pick? Right? And I was talking to Nate Adams last week. I had him on my golf radio show, and he goes, I know, Coach, just it eats at him. It eats at him to try to pick the top 5, and we get it. You have to. That's what you have to do. But that's a good problem to have.
Summit League Golf Championship coming up this weekend. We thank Jeff Kolpack for coming by. Much more on Jacksen Moni transferring to NDSU coming up on our news at 6 and 10. And the Bison Media Zone is back with you next Wednesday at 10:30. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. We'll see you next week here on WDAY Extra at Inforum.com.